Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi for the season finale. The universe is full of apex predators. There are silicon-based wolves that hunt in packs of thousands. There are psychic jellyfish that lure ships into black holes. The Galactic Federation military has standard protocols for dealing with these threats. Analyze behavior, exploit weaknesses, and apply overwhelming firepower. But sometimes, evolution throws a curveball. Sometimes, a planet produces a creature so big, so angry, and so heavily armored that a plasma cannon feels like a mosquito bite. On the frozen mining moon of Glacia, 9, the miners disturbed something ancient. They woke up a cryo-leviathan. A creature 400 feet long, covered in ice diamond scales with teeth the size of escape pods. It was eating mining platforms whole. The Federation sent the 7th Armored Division. The Leviathan ate their tanks. They sent the elite orbital bombers. The Leviathan swatted the missiles out of the sky with its tail. The moon was about to be abandoned. The losses were catastrophic. The alien commanders were out of ideas. Then, a junior supply officer mentioned that he knew a specialist. A freelance contractor from a death world called Earth, specifically from a region known as the Panhandle. His name was Cletus. He didn't have a degree in xenobiology. He didn't have power armor. But he claimed to have won the Tri-County Gator Wrestling Championship, 3 years running. To the Federation this was a suicide mission. To Cletus it was just a Tuesday. This is the story of the greatest hunt in galactic history. Grab a cold one and keep your hands inside the boat. We're going gator hunting. The situation on Glacia 9 was dire. The Leviathan was circling the main settlement under the ice, waiting to breach. General Kvar, a decorated war hero with 4 purple hearts, was pacing the command bunker. The beast is invulnerable, Kvar reported to High Command. Its hide deflects thermal energy. Its mind is too primitive for psychic attack. We are evacuating. Suddenly, a proximity alarm blared. An unregistered vessel was entering the atmosphere. It wasn't a warship. It looked like a rusted-out freighter with a giant fan strapped to the back, a spacefaring airboat, similar to the legendary Swamp Rat, see episode 136. The radio crackled to life. Country music blared for a solid 10 seconds before a voice cut through. Breaker 19, this here's the Bayou Blaster lookin' for the party, Cletus announced. I hear y'all got a pest control problem. Where do you want me to park this rig? Cletus landed on the ice shelf. He walked down the ramp wearing cargo shorts, wading boots, a t-shirt that said, Whiskey Bent and Hellbound, and a trucker hat pulled low. He was carrying a coil of heavy-duty mining cable over his shoulder and a cooler in his hand. General Kvar approached him, flanked by heavily armed guards. Human, Kvar said, looking at Cletus's lack of armor. Where is your squad? Where are your heavy weapons? The Leviathan is a Class 10 planetary threat. Cletus cracked open a beer and took a long sip. He looked out over the frozen expanse. That big lizard? Cletus pointed with his beer can. General, I've seen bigger cockroaches in my motel room in Tallahassee. You don't need an army for this. You just need the right bait and a little bit of patience. Bait? Kvar asked. Yeah. What do you guys have that's smelly? Like real pungent? Maybe a frozen grox beast? Something that'll really wake up his appetite. The general was horrified. You intend to lure it to the surface? We are trying to hide from it. That's your problem, Haas. You're playing defense. You gotta play offense. You gotta get in his head. Make him think he's the one being hunted. Cletus secured a frozen grox carcass, a cow-like creature, from the mess hall. He hooked it to the end of his mining cable. The other end of the cable was attached to a massive hydraulic winch he had welded to the deck of his airboat. Cletus took his airboat out onto the ice alone. The general watched on the monitors, convinced he was watching a man die. Cletus parked over the deepest part of the methane lake. He dropped the bait through a crack in the ice. Then he started the call. He didn't use a sonic emitter. He just leaned over the side of the boat and started slapping the water with an oar, yelling, Hurry, Gator, Gator, Gator. Come on, you big lug. Dinner time. The ice beneath him began to rumble. A shadow appeared below the surface, growing larger and larger until it dwarfed the airboat. He's a big un, all right, Cletus muttered, adjusting his hat. Crash. The ice exploded upwards. The Leviathan breached. It was magnificent and terrifying. 400 feet of armored fury, roaring with a sound that cracked the glacier. Its jaws opened, ready to swallow Cletus and his boat in one bite. Cletus didn't flinch. He waited. Just as the beast lunged, it smelled the bait. Instinct took over. It snapped its jaws sideways, engulfing the frozen grox carcass, and the giant hook hidden inside it. "Hooked up!" Cletus yelled. He slammed the winch into reverse. The cable went taut, singing with tension. The Leviathan roared in confusion. It tried to dive back under the ice, but the winch held. Now the real fight began. It was man versus monster in low gravity. The Leviathan thrashed, pulling the airboat across the ice like a toy. Cletus was holding onto the winch controls with one hand and his beer with the other, whooping and hollering like he was on a mechanical bull. "Ride him, cowboy!" he screamed as the monster did a death roll, spinning the boat around in dizzying circles. General Kvar couldn't believe his eyes. The human, he is not killing it. He is tiring it out. Cletus knew he couldn't overpower the beast. But he knew gators. They have bursts of energy and then they get tired. He just had to hang on until the lactic acid built up in the monster's muscles. For 3 hours they battled across the ice shelf. Cletus used the airboat's fan to counter the monster's pulls, turning the fight into a bizarre dance. Finally the Leviathan slowed down. It lay half on, half off the ice, panting, its massive energy spent. Cletus killed the engine. It was quiet except for the monster's heavy breathing. "All right, sunshine," Cletus said, grabbing a roll of super-strong duct tape he'd brought. "Time for the finisher." Cletus did the unthinkable. He jumped off the boat onto the monster's snout. He scrambled up past the rows of razor-sharp teeth and straddled the beast's nose, locking his legs around it. The Leviathan tried to shake him off, but it was too exhausted. Quick as lightning, Cletus slapped the duct tape around the beast's jaws, sealing them shut. "That's the gator roll right there," Cletus announced, dusting off his hands. "Now he's just a big, scaly log." The military convoy arrived 10 minutes later. They found the 400-foot world eater lying subdued on the ice, with its mouth taped shut. Cletus was sitting on its head, finishing his beer. General Kvar stepped out of his tank, his jaw on the floor. You captured it alive," Kvar whispered. "We must call in an orbital strike immediately to destroy it." Cletus hopped down. "Whoa, hold on there, General. Destroy him? Are you crazy? Do you know how much a specimen like this goes for on the black market? Or heck, I could put him in my pond back home. Charge admission." "Your pond?" Kvar stammered. "Yeah. I got a permit for exotic pets. Mostly for pythons, but I think it covers reptiles, miscellaneous. He'll be fine. I'll name him Snowball." Cletus proceeded to try and hook the 400-foot monster to the back of his small freighter for towing. "He's gonna cause some drag on re-entry," Cletus admitted, looking at the physics problem. "Might need a little push from one of your tanks to get him started." The general eventually convinced Cletus that he couldn't keep the planet killer as a pet. The Federation paid Cletus a sum of money that could buy a small solar system. Cletus used the money to buy a bigger airboat and a lifetime supply of beef jerky. The Leviathan was relocated to a secure, uninhabited water world, far away from any mining operations. It is now a protected species. The Federation updated their military handbook. Under Procedure for Class 10 Biological Threats, there is now a new subsection, Option C. Call a Florida man, ensure he has adequate supplies of ethanol and adhesive tape. And on Glacia 9, there is a statue made of ice in the town square. It's not of a soldier. It's a statue of Cletus standing on a monster's head, holding a beer high in the air. The plaque reads, "Here the world eater fell. Not to a laser but to a lasso. Never bet against a man in denim shorts." This has been the season finale of Apex Sci-Fi. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the absurdity of humanity in space. From grandma's cookies to high-speed space gators, we've proved that while we may not be the smartest species, we are definitely the wildest. If you have enjoyed this series, smash that like button one last time. Comment below. What was your favorite Florida man moment from the series? Subscribe so you don't miss next season, where we explore Texas man in space. Everything is bigger. Yeehaw, Space Cowboys.